Hi, and welcome back. In the last lesson, I asked you to display this output right here. The first one is simple, 10 hellos, then a bunch of addition, multiplication, division, and the last one is basically the floor division and the modulus. Here's what my code looks like. First one I just had hello multiplied by 10, and I added a space at the end of the hello, so the space is multiplied as well. Then I have variable holding 2, another variable holding 3. Then I have the sum being held by a third variable. We didn't do this in the lesson, but this can be done as well. And then I just printed out the first variable, a plus sign, the second variable, an equal sign, and then the third variable holding the sum of the first two variables. I did the same with the multiplication of the floats, and then dividing the integers. And for the last one, I had x. I just printed out what x was holding, then what y was holding, and then x division y. And then I printed out the quotient, which is the floor division, and the remainder, which is the modulus. So this is what my code looks like. Yours should look similar to this, and that's it for that. Let's move on to the lesson. Today we will be looking at adding user input to our programs and converting between different types of values. Adding the ability to provide input to any program opens a range of possibilities. In this lesson, we will look at how to ask a user for input through the console. The simple function called input will do that for us. If we want to add a question before asking for input, we write that question as a string inside the parentheses of the input function. If we do not write anything inside the parentheses, the program simply waits for user input without posing any question. This might be useful if we have a print statement before the input function already outlining the desired response. The user input is returned to the program as a string, which can then be assigned to a variable using the assignment operator. Now, whatever the user enters is a string. Even if the user enters a number, it is stored as a string. We cannot use the same operators on string that we can use on a number. So, it's a good idea to change the string to a number with type conversion. To convert any value to a certain type, we write the type as it is denoted in Python, followed by parentheses, and the value to be converted inside the parentheses. For example, to convert any value to an integer, we write int, followed by parentheses, and the value to be converted inside the parentheses. We can do the same with string and floating point as well. Keep in mind, however, that you cannot convert every value to every other type. You will get an error sometimes. Now, let's try adding user input to our programs. So, we can start by just asking input. Let's say I want to say, give me a number, right? And when I press this, it's going to say, give me a number and wait for user input. I type in 4, and that's the end of that. Now, I don't even have to say anything. It will just, now if I don't pose a question, it's just waiting for user input without anything. And it's the same thing. Now let's try writing a program that sort of say doubles the number that the user gives it. So let's type in the program's name first. Let's call it double your number. We can then store the number that the user provides in a variable. Let's say same thing as before. Give me a number. Now, oh, I need to use the assignment operator, right? So once we are here, let's see if that even works. We can print it out. Okay, it's going to ask me double your number. Give me a number. Let's say I give it 10. Right now it's just going to print that back out. Now, this is where the type conversion is important. If I try to multiply 2 by the number and just print that out, I'm going to say 10. Look how it doesn't, it looks at 10 as a string and then this multiplies this string, which gives the same string twice. That's not what we want to do. We want to double the number, and that's why we want to convert it. So we can, just to be sure, we can check the type. That is the number. Right now it should say string, as it does, but we want to convert it to a number. So what we do is, let's say we have another variable called integer number. and we will convert whatever is inside the number to an int. And that's how we do that, right? We type an int, parentheses, and the variable inside the parentheses. Now, if we type copy, paste, now if I run it, say 10 again, and now the number that it's taken is class int. That's what type of integer number is, and it gives us the right output now. Now, we also talked about converting from integers to string, right? So let's see. Let's say I have a variable called a message, and we will say double your number, and then we'll say, okay, this. Now we can, instead of doing this, message double your number plus, we can say integer twice the integer number. Or you know what, let's take it step by step. Let's call another variable called double the number, and that's where we'll store this. And I just want to make sure that everything works as expected so far. Right? If I say 10, it should still give me 20. Nothing has changed. Now, in the message, I'm going to add the double number here. Now look, we're going to run into another error now. So message 10, and now look, I'm trying to add a string to an integer, which is also not allowed. We can only add strings with each other. So I'll have to convert it to a string, which I can do so like this. And if I print out the message now, look, double your number is 20. And that's that. So that's it for this coding lesson. Let's move on to the problem now. So the problem for this lesson, you have to make the program ask for the user's name. Once the user provides the name, it should say hello, the username, nice to meet you, and then it should ask for the year that the user was born in. And once you type that in, it should tell the user how old he is or she is. So this is a simple one. You basically say, if I say 1994, I would just do this, right? And that should give 24. But you're gonna have to take an extra step before doing this. So see if you can figure this code out, and I'll show you the solution in the next one. And I'll see you then.